Everybody had their own garden. Everybody canned.
My mother and father, they had the big garden on Bainhurst Avenue, and they had pigs, they had chickens, they had ducks, geese, beehives.
Oh yes, yeah, there was always a garden. Grandpa had a great big garden.
Oh my God, they had such a big garden. That's why I guess my mother didn't like it. It was too much work. That one whole, I bet it was maybe about 50 by 150 feet. They had all kinds of stuff in there.
And we'd eat this stuff. You had no choice. You didn't know any better. You had no choice. This was the way life was then. We had gardens. I could show you pictures. My uncle, my father, fantastic. We would have all kinds of produce.
Yeah, everybody had gardens. Everybody had a garden along the way. One of the men 2 doors down was actually a farmer, and so he had quite a crop of even different things.
Some of the Polish families across the street had gardens. We had grapevines. We had, I have grapes, and you could have wine.
They had big grapevines too, you know, trellises with the grapes. We had to do all that. The Japanese beetles would be on the thing. We had to pick those off.
Everybody had their own grape arbors. We always had grape jelly, grape jam. Always. We had apple, pears. Everybody grew fruit trees. Today, who in the world grows a fruit tree today?
Onions and carrots and tomatoes, and we had some fruit trees. I know there were plum trees and a pear tree and a cherry tree and apple trees. And we ate from the garden and canned a lot, did a lot of canning.
We had plums, like the Italian plums, I think they're called, and pears. We had a great pear tree.
Big apple trees on the other side of the house, because it's a big property on the other side of the house too. All big apple trees.
Everybody had fruit trees. It's food. Food. They weren't worried about appearance. It was food. In front of my house, we had a pear tree. When I lived on Washington Road, all right? And it was the real hard winter pear. I can't think of the name of them now. We used to pick them. They were hard. Take them down the cellar, lay them on screen. And they ripened. We had fresh pears until Christmas.
They were good. Kids used to go around stealing them because they were big yellow ones. They would come around and take all the apples and eat them. Not that anybody cared.
We used to go out and steal apples right over on the other side of the building here. The Dolans lived. Now, no relation to the other Dolans. Another Dolan. And of course, Chet Sweeter's got his barber shop built in there, but they had a nice big farm in there, and it was always wet, the land. It was like walking on a sponge. And they used to plant watermelons in there. Oh, nice sized watermelons, you know. When they were ripe, that's where we were, in the watermelon field.
We composted everything. I mean, there was no garbage then. All your scraps and everything went into that, and then he had that as manure for the garden.
Yeah, they had pigs and all that. I remember when one man would come to slaughter the pigs. Oh God, you could hear those pigs squealing. The man was killing them.
That's why you didn't get that much from the grocery store, mainly the meat. The eggs, well, when I was very small, we had chickens, so we had chickens and eggs, and everything, butchering the chickens. That was not a pleasant.
Never did. My father would go in the winter and get 100 chicks, put them in a small kitchen, and we would listen to the damn cheeping for months until they grew old enough to be taken outside.
Mr. Sulik had a cow in that little building over there. He had his blacksmith shop and a cow in there. We used to get our milk off him.
You know, so you had to go to small stores to get your goods. And if they didn't have them there, you went to South River to get a chicken killed so you could have a chicken for supper. But in our case, between my father's house and my uncle's, We had turkeys, chickens, pigeons, rabbits, and they were our protein because they would be killed, for either a holiday, but the chickens especially, they would be killed for Sunday dinner because that's what you did.
And then they had like a cellar where they put all the meat after a while. That's how they lived. They had to. Nothing easy at that time. It was rough.
During the Depression, we went down the cellar. We had canned applesauce. We had canned peaches. And if possible, we had the pear tree. You had canned pears. That was it. You weren't going out buying. Then there's another big line of string beans. Everything was jarred in jars.
And you kept them in cold storage. We had a part of the basement that was cold, really cold, and that was like a cold storage bin. You keep some of the not so perishable items.
And there were times when we bottled root beer, the old fashioned. Or sometimes they pop too. You'd have root beer all over the basement.
My mother used to can a lot of things, and even when they killed the pigs and that, then they would clean the casings, and then they would stuff it and make the sausage out of it and everything. I had to help with the cleaning of them. We'd be laughing. The kids, I remember my mother would go, shh, would get a swipe over the face with the vein. I said, oh my God, because we were kidding around. We had to be doing the work. But that's what we had to do too. It wasn't an easy life when you were young. Not at that time. But it was an awful lot of work in the garden. Pulling out the darn weeds, make sure everything's growing, keep it watered.
Right back in there, I used to pick swampers. Magnolias. Lady slippers. Lady slippers, they don't know what a lady slipper is. It was a beautiful flower came out of the ground just like a slipper. Skunk cabbage. You were in the woods and you stepped on the skunk cabbage. You knew it. Stink! Oh my God, did it stink! Oh! And they just like a cabbage. They grew called skunk cabbage.
And then all those woods where the development is, God, we used to go pick blueberries there and everything.
Oh yeah.
And they were nice.
And we used to go into the woods to pick huckleberries because there were huckleberry bushes there. And you picked those so your parents could make huckleberry pierogi.
Would bring them home. My mother would make little pancakes out of them and little pierogis.
Mm-hmm.
Fry them up, put them in butter. They were so good. Oh, they tasted so good.
Mm-hmm.
No recipes, no nothing, and they were good.
We used to go up Journeyville Road here and do our swamper picking. Blueberries. We never bought blueberries. We picked them. Even when I got married, I used to take the boys out. Pick our own. Yvette used to make our own blueberry pies. Never bought. There's nothing like a wild blueberry pie. Wild, not this cultivated stuff. Don't have the taste.
Because they had no kind of chemicals in there or nothing. It was a heck of a lot better than what you get today. Today you don't really know what you're getting.
Whether it comes naturally or you've learned it from, the way I learned it from them, because when we were first married, we always had a garden. I had a garden for many years too. Not as big or as extensive, but we always kept a garden. And I did a lot of canning until times changed and we went into freezing.
And today you throw food away like mad. Isn't that the truth though? You do. You throw it out. People waste an awful lot of stuff today.